The joy of singing all three of the augmented sixths and also the Neapolitan sixth, so we don't need to do number 5. I don't know if you saw this in music, if you were trying to sing something solfeggio. I don't know if you'd have time to figure out if it was an augmented sixth or a Neapolitan. You might, and if you did, if it was an augmented sixth, the idea of like we had that E natural that led up to the F. I mean, if you see it, it makes perfect sense. I just don't know if you were sight reading something. You might not have time to actually figure out what's going on. Well, we're going to skip all the way to page 227. Wow. 227.
Oh man, more singing.
Yay, more singing.
Okay. Look at the JS box.
Bless you.
If you translate the title, it says, "Oh God, what kind of clefs are these?" Something like that. I don't know. So, if you remember when we learned alto clef and tenor clef last year, I talked about the fact that that was actually a movable clef in Bach's time, and you could put it anywhere you wanted. So you could make any line or space of the staff an A, B, C, D, E, F, or a G. But over time, we've kind of gotten rid of all of them except the alto clef for the viola and the tenor clef, or sometimes the trombone and bassoon play in tenor clef. But this is the way Bach would write. So that first one is the soprano clef, and then the alto clef as we know it, the tenor clef as we know it, and then the basement. Also, I might mention that I've got some Bach scores. I could show you my Bach score. He also moved this. So instead of looping this here, I've got one over there where he went like this. Meaning that would be a G. And we have our bass clef like this, but Bach also did this, meaning that middle line would be the F, which is exactly the same as the tenor clef. Oh, wait. F, A, C. Sorry. That would be the same as this. So these older clefs, they get fairly confusing. If you go on to study a master's or a doctorate, if you want to study accompaniment, or accompaniment on piano, or you want to study choral music, you have to learn these clefs because they will dig out the old scores. And you have to be able to take a modern publication and dig out the original Bach and find out what has been edited in, so you can do it your way and do it more like you think Bach might have done. So when you go to an orchestra concert or something and they're doing Bach, the conductor's probably dug up the real Bach score and looked at it and decided exactly what's been edited in so he could tell the orchestra how he or she would like it to be played. So when I was in Texas, I told you I was in the symphony chorus, but being a band director at the time and writing a lot of music, somehow the choral director, the symphony choral director found out. And he hired me. He had gone through these scores and found out that all of the violin bowings, he wanted them all different. So he hired me for a whole weekend to sit there and draw in violin bowings the way he wanted them. Just pencil them into the score. And I got paid as much as Plummer would get. It was wonderful. I mean, because he had to get somebody who knew how to read music and knew what a slur looked like and could be legible, and knew the difference between a number 2 pencil that you could read and a number 1 that you couldn't. But it was interesting because he hired me and he paid me a lot of money, and then I was like, gee, at the time I was young and stupid, so it sounded like too much money. And he said, who am I going to get to do this? Can I just hire somebody off the street who knows what a violin bowing is, who knows how to write down bow and up bow? So I go, oh, well, okay. Have pride that you've studied so much that you know it all. But anyway, this is what it originally looked like. So let's take a look at it. First, the odd one, the soprano clef. So if the bottom line is C, we got 2 flats in the key signature. Well, let's look at the bass clef and cheat to figure out what key we're in, because we can read bass clef easier than the other 3. So what key are we in? Look at the bass clef. There's the bass line. Look where it starts and ends. What key are we in?
B flat.
B flat. All right, so that understood that we're in B flat. We go back to the soprano clef. Bottom line is a C. So what note are we starting with?
F.
F, yeah. So, and that would be so. And then the next note,
D.
no, B flat.
No.
I'm sorry, the soprano, the second note of the soprano.
Oh,
B flat.
I got so confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
I was looking at the flats and I was like, well, there's a lower flat and a higher flat. No, that doesn't work.
Lower flat.
Well, I was looking to see, B flat. I was
Right.
thinking, well, that would be the B flat. No, that's the B flat and
Right.
that's the E
Yeah,
flat.
the upper one's the B flat.
Okay.
I know it looks very confusing. Now, if you're singing, you have an advantage to playing an instrument, because the instrument, if I'm trying to play this on flute, I have to know that first note's an F, and the second one's a B flat, third one's a C, fourth one's a D. But if I'm singing, it's really relative to where I am. So for example, even though we're in B flat, this is a rather confusing clef. So if I put my thumb over the clef in the key signature, and I imagine a treble clef, how would you solfege it in the key of D?
So, do,
So,
re,
do,
mi,
re-
fa,
yeah.
No,
sol.
so no. The key of what?
D,
D.
in treble clef.
So, do.
Then it would be an A to a D for the first 2 notes, which would be so, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi. So that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Except, of course, we want to start on an F
So,
and sing
fa,
F
so
to B
do.
flat. But
So, do.
the advantage of me making you learn the movable dove and all these different keys is that now you could use that, as long as we know the first 2 notes are F to a B flat. So, do. Now, I cover it up and I imagine the key of D and I say, so, do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi. So now those notes are actually coming out. It's actually in F, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. flat D, that's what's coming out. But I'm using the relativity of those.